Think of the dial as a canvas where the artists at Patek Philippe can show off their creativity. Can't think of a better example of fine watchmaking meeting fine artistry. Welcome, dear friends and fellow watch lovers. My name is Dimitri Galanis from Liljenquist Beckstead. I'm very happy to be with you again, and in this episode, I will be exploring the beautiful as well as practical World Time watches by Patek Philippe. I cannot think of a better manufacturer of fine watches that represents so well the intersection of fine watchmaking and handcrafted artistry. But why the World Time, you may ask? I mean, what's all the fuss about the specific function of a watch? You see, the history is much older than you think. Surely Jules Verne, in his 1873 book, Around the World in 80 Days, told us it is possible to travel around the planet in under 3 months. But not me. I can do it in 24 hours. In fact, we can all do it in a day. We can give credit to the early explorers of the 15th and 16th centuries, navigating uncharted waters in their quest of discovery, or more importantly, to the need of dividing our world in 24 time zones, especially in the 19th century as railways began traveling long distances. In fact, in 1884, here in Washington, D.C., at the International Meridian Conference, their time zones were established, and Greenwich, in London, became the origin of the longitudes. We all know this by its acronym, GMT. Watchmakers, though, did not pay much attention to the multi-time zone needs simply because there wasn't enough demand for such a complication at the time. All that changed, however, in the 1930s as transatlantic flights began and more people started traveling between continents. During this time, one Geneva-based master watchmaker was critical in the development of the World Time complication for Patek Philippe. Louis Coutier saw the need for a multi-time zone watch. By 1937, he had produced the reference 605HU. This was followed the next year by the reference 1064HU, and for the first time we see the two-color disc indicating day and night across the span of 24 hours. This was the inspiration for the modern-era Patek Philippe World Time wristwatches. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing to you a watch that is equally as important as those early pocket watches. This is the reference 5110P. P stands for platinum, introduced in 2000. Very appropriate, don't you think? Dawn of a new millennium marked with a true evolution in watchmaking. A year earlier, Patek Philippe patented a new system that would revolutionize the setting of a World Time watch, thus solving the decades-old issue of how to change time zones quickly and efficiently. A rectangular pusher was incorporated at the 10 o'clock position of the case. By engaging it, the hour hand would move by 1 hour increment, as well as the international city disc and the 24-hour disc, all at the same time, without missing a beat. You cannot possibly ask for an easier setup for your World Time needs around the world. As for the movement of choice, it was important to incorporate a self-winding type that was efficient and very thin. Caliber 240HU was just perfect in size with its 239 components and a height of just 3.88 millimeters. Add to that a 22-karat gold micro-rotor that was fitted inside the movement between the bridges and keeps a power reserve of at least 48 hours. As you will see, it is this movement that powers the current collection of Patek Philippe World Time watches. In 2016, the manufacturer introduced the reference 5230 in 18-karat rose and white gold. At 38.5 millimeters, it's absolutely the perfect size, comfortable as well as very legible. And some changes were necessary in order to accommodate a realignment of certain cities in relation to the reference time UTC, which is London. For example, Moscow was moved to UTC +3 from its previous +4. The new International City Ring presented the opportunity to change the watch case from a design perspective. The bezel became more flat and winglet-style lugs were added, giving the watch a more modern profile. In addition, the crown guards were removed, giving the watch a more elegant aesthetic. Furthermore, a new hour hand inspired by the Southern Cross constellation, as well as a Liljenquist minute hand, were chosen to tell time against the superb hand-guilloche pattern center dial. 6 years later, at Watches and Wonders this past spring, Patek Philippe introduced 2 new interpretations of the World Time. First up is the reference 5230P001. Now I gotta say, I really love blue in every shade. From the hand-guilloche circle pattern dial the International City disc to the nubuck leather strap with contrast stitching, this is like an ocean of blue. Perhaps the watch was inspired by the most dominant color of our planet, or the color of sky. Either way, it's simply spectacular. It is elegant yet sporty enough to be worn daily. Besides, I don't dress up while flying, so this is a perfect travel companion. Let's take a look at the back case. We see the familiar caliber 240 HU, beating at 21,600 oscillations per hour. It is super efficient, thin, and beautiful to look at. The finish is superb, a tribute to painstaking and demanding process of creating mechanical perfection. Not to be outdone, the Geneva watchmaker also introduced the reference 5231G. Can't think of a better example of fine watchmaking meeting fine artistry. A direct descendant of the early cloisonné enamel World Time pocket watches of the late 1930s, the 5231G features a map of Southeast Asia and Oceania, a first on a Patek Philippe wristwatch. Very appropriate, if I can say, considering the elevated importance of the region. Let's take a close look, and please use a magnifying loupe to observe the dial detail. Cloisonné enameling is difficult to perfect and is a true rare handcraft application. So, how is this achieved in such a colorful detail? Think of the dial as a canvas, where the artists at Patek Philippe can show off their creativity. They first use thin gold wires to outline the oceans, islands, and continents. Then they repeatedly fill in the partitions with a myriad of enamel colors. Now here comes the tricky part. Between addition of the colors, they fire the dial at high temperatures in a specialized furnace. The result is breathtaking, just about a three-dimensional map of the region. Another historical attribute of the timepiece is a circle-type hour hand, the same one found in some early Patek Philippe World Time watches. Love that inspiration and connection to the past. Of course, just like its sibling, the 5230P, this watch is powered by the same ultra-thin, self-winding caliber 240 HU, which can be viewed through the sapphire crystal back. This timepiece is just stunningly beautiful from any angle, as much as it is your perfect traveling companion around the world in 24 hours. If you're in search of mechanical watch perfection, as well as fine art, then look no further than Patek Philippe, one of the most celebrated brands in the world. Perhaps it's time to get on my private jet. Got room for a few more passengers. I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. I know I had a great time presenting you with some of the world's finest timepieces, and I would love to see your comments below. Please visit us at Liljenquist Beckstead in the Tysons Galleria to find your next Patek Philippe. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.